Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Be Kind, Be Happy Story Time playlist. And for today's story time, episode 2, we have another Buddhist parable from the same book. And the title is Grateful Animals and Ungrateful Man. The tagline is Driftwood is worth more than some men. Okay, let's begin. True is this saying of some men of this world. This parable was related by the teacher while he was in residence at Veluvana with reference to Devadatas going about for the purpose of killing him. For while the congregation of monks sitting at the Hall of Truth were discussing and were discussing Devadatta's wickedness, saying, Brethren, Devadatta knows not the teacher's virtues, but is going about for the sole purpose of killing him. The teacher drew near and asked, Monks, what is the subject that engages your attention now as you sit here all gathered together? Such and such was the reply. Monks, said the teacher, not only is his present state of existence not only in his present state of existence has Devadatta gone about for the purpose of killing me. In a previous state of existence, also he went about for the purpose of killing me in the same old way. Then, in response to the request of the monks, he related the following story of the past. The story, Prince Wicked. In times past, Brahmadatta ruled at Benares. He had a son named Prince Wicked, and Prince Wicked was as tough and hard as a beaten snake. He never spoke to anybody without either reviling him or striking him. The result was that both by indoor folk and by outdoor folk, he was disliked and detested as much as dust lodged in the eye or as a demon come to eat. One day, desiring to sport in the water, he went to the riverbank with a large retinue. At that moment, a great cloud arose. The directions became clear. He said to his slaves, the directions became dark. He said to his slaves and servants, Come, fellows, take me and conduct me to midstream and bathe me and bring me back. They led him there and took counsel together, saying, What can the king do to us? Let's kill this wicked fellow right here. So they said to him, Here you go, bird of evil omen. So saying, they plunged him into the water, made their own way out of the water again, and stood at the bank. As the courtiers returned to the king, they reflected, In case we are asked, Where is the prince? We will say, We have not seen the prince. It must be that upon seeing a dark cloud arise, he plunged into the water and went on ahead of us. The king asked, Where is my son? We do not know, your majesty. A dark cloud arose. We returned, supposing he must have gone ahead of us. The king caused the gates to be flung open, went to the riverbank, and caused them to search here and there. Search, he said. Nobody saw the prince. As a matter of fact, in the darkness caused by the cloud, while the god was reigning, the prince swept along by the river, seeing a certain tree trunk, clambered on it, and sitting astride of it, traveled along, terrified with the fear of death, lamenting. Now at the time, a resident of Benares, a certain treasurer who had buried 40 crores of wealth by the riverbank, by reason of his craving for that wealth, had been reborn on top of that wealth as a snake. Yet another had buried 30 crores of wealth in that very same spot, and by reason of his craving of that wealth, had been reborn on the same spot as a rat. The water entered their places of abode. They went out by the very path in which the water came in, cleft with the stream, and went until they reached the tree trunk bestridden by the royal prince. Thereupon one climbed up on one end and the other on the other, and both lay down right there on the top of the tree trunk. Moreover, on the bank of that very river there was a certain silk cotton tree, and in it lived a certain young parrot. That tree also, its roots washed by the water, fell on top of the river. The young parrot, unable to make headway by flying while the gods was raining, went and perched on the other side of that very tree trunk. Thus did those four persons travel together, swept along by the river. So these four characters now, there's the rat, there's the snake, the bird, and the prince, are being swept along the river while standing on the tree trunk that takes them. Now at the time the future Buddha was reborn in the kingdom of Kasi, in the household of a Brahmin of high station. When he reached manhood, he retired from the world and adopted the life of an ascetic, and building a leaf hut at a certain bend in the river, took up his abode there. At midnight, as he was walking up and down, he heard the sound of the profound lamentation of that royal prince. Thought he, "It is not fitting that that man should die in sight of an ascetic like me, endowed with friendliness and compassion. I will pull him out of water and grant him the boon of life." He calmed the man's fears with the words, "Fear not, fear not." Then cleaving the stream of water, he went and laid hold of that tree trunk by one end and pulled it. Powerful as an elephant, endowed with mighty strength, with one single pull he reached the bank, and lifting the prince in his arms, set him ashore. Seeing the snake and the rat and the parrot, he picked them up also, carrying them to his hermitage, and lighted a fire. The animals were weaker. The animals are weaker, thought he. So first he warmed the bodies of the animals. Then afterwards he warmed the body of the royal prince, and made him well too. When he bought food also, he first gave it to those same animals, and thereafter offered fruits and other edibles to the prince. Thought the royal prince, "This false ascetic does not take it into his reckoning that I am a royal prince, but does honor to animals," and he consurged a grudge against the future Buddha. So now the prince obviously felt very disrespected by the future Buddha, because he was attending to the animals before he was attending to the royal prince, and maybe because of his ego, he started to hold a grudge against the future prince, against the future Buddha. A few days after that, when all four had recovered their strength and vigor, and the river freshet had ceased, the snake bowed to the ascetic and said, "Reverend sir, it is a great service you have done me. Now I am no pauper. In such and such place I have buried 40 kores of gold. If you need money, I can give you all that money. Come to that place and call me, saying, 'Longfellow.'" So saying, he departed. Likewise, also the rat addressed the ascetic, "Stand in such and such a place and call me out, saying, 'Rat.'" So saying, he departed. But when the parrot bowed to the ascetic, he said, "Reverend sir, I have no money, but if you have need of rudi rice, such and such is my place of abode. Go there and call me out, saying, 'Parrot.' I'll tell my kinsfolk, have them fetch ruddy rice by the cartload and give it to you. That's what I can do." So saying, he departed. So as we can see here, the three animals are very appreciative and grateful of the future Buddha for having helped them escape the flood. And so they are all offering him whatever they can. The snake is offering him all his money that he had buried the previous life, the rat the same, and the parrot, having no money, is offering him rice. But that other, the man, because it was his custom to betray his friends, said no such word according to custom. Thought he, "If you come to me, I'll kill you." But he said, "Reverend sir." So he was thinking, "If you come to me, I'll kill you." But he said, Reverend sir, when I am established in my kingdom, be good enough to come and see me. I'll furnish you with the 4 requisites. So saying, he departed, and in no very long time he had gone, he was established in his kingdom. So now this is a while later, thought the future Buddha. I'll just put them to the test. First he went to the snake, and standing not far off, called him out, saying, Longfellow. At that mere word, the snake came out, bowed to the future Buddha, and said, Reverend sir, in this place are 40 kores of gold. Carry them out and take them with you. Said the future Buddha, let be as it is. If occasions arise, I'll think about it. So saying, he let the snake go back. So the future Buddha didn't take the money. He was just testing the snake. But the snake proved his sincerity and his genuineness. Then the future Buddha went to the rat and made a noise. The rat also behaved just as the snake. The future Buddha let him go back also. Then he went to the parrot and called him out, saying, Parrot. The parrot also, at the mere word, came down from the top of the tree and bowing to the future Buddha asked, Tell me, Reverend sir, shall I speak to my kinsfolk and have them fetch you self-sown rice from the region of Himavat? Said the future Buddha, if I have need, I'll think about it. So saying, he let the parrot also go back. Now finally, now, thought the future Buddha, I'll test the king. He went, so now the prince is now a king and has established his own kingdom. He went and passed the night in the king's garden, and on the following day, having put on beautiful garments, entered the city on his round for alms. At that moment, that king, the betrayer of friends, seated on the back of his gloriously adorned state elephant, accompanied by a large retinue, was making a right-wise circuit of the city. Seeing the future Buddha, even from afar, he thought, here's the false ascetic. Here's that false ascetic. Come to live with me and eat his fill, that he may not make known in the midst of his company the service he has rendered me, or straightway cut off his head. So he doesn't want it be known by the public that the future Buddha had saved his life and that he's owing him anything. So he looked at his men. Said they, What shall we do, your majesty? Said the king. Here's a false ascetic, come to me for something or other, I suppose, without so much as giving that false ascetic, that bird of evil omen, a chance to look at me. Take that fellow, bind his arms behind his back, conduct him out of the city, beating him at every crossroad, cut off his head in the place of execution, and impale his body on a stake. So now he's ordered his men to kill the future Buddha. Very well, said the king's men in assent. They bound the great being, guiltless as he was, and started to conduct him to the place of execution, beating him at every crossroads. The future Buddha, wherever they beat him, uttered no lament. Women, men, but unperturbed, uttered the following stanza. True is this saying of some men in the world, driftwood is worth more than some men. So this is a native gloss. Okay. Thus, wherever they beat him, did he utter this stanza. Hearing this, wise men who stood by said, But, monk, what is the trouble between you and our king? Have you done him some good turn? Then the future Buddha told them the whole story, saying, I alone, by pulling this man out of a mighty flood, have brought suffering upon myself. I speak as I do because I keep thinking, alas, I have not heeded the words of wise men of old. So this future Buddha is actually blaming himself, saying that he has not heeded the words of wise men of old. So he's saying that he should have known that the king was indeed a bad man, and having suspected that, he should have stayed away from him. Hearing this, warriors and Brahmins and others, residents of the city, became enraged. They said, "This king this betrayer of friends, has not the slightest conception of the virtues of this embodiment of the virtues. This man who has granted him the boon of his own life. What have we to gain through him? Capture him!" And rising in all quarters, they slew him, even as he sat on the back of the elephant, by hitting him with arrows and spears and rocks and clubs. And laying hold of his feet, they dragged him and threw him back of the moat. And conferring the ceremonial sprinkling of the future Buddha, they established him in the kingdom. The future Buddha ruled righteously. So all the Brahmins and all the warriors of the time with the residents were very enraged by the situation, the story of the Buddha, and so the future Buddha. And so what they did was they killed the king and installed the future Buddha in the place of the king, and the future Buddha ruled righteously. Again, one day, desiring to test the snake, the rat, and the parrot, he went out with a large retinue to the place of abode of the snake, and he called him out, saying, "Longfellow." The snake came, bowed to him, and said, "Here's your money, master, take it." The king entrusted to his ministers wealth amounting to 40 koras of gold. Then he went to the rat, and calling him, saying, "Rat." The rat also came, and with a bow handed him over all the wealth that the rat had accumulated the previous life, amounting to 30 koras of gold. The king entrusted that also to his ministers. Then he went to the place of abode of a parrot and also called him out, saying, "Parrot." And just like that, the parrot also came out, and reverencing his feet, and said, "Master, shall I fetch the rice?" Said the king, "When there is need of rice, may you fetch it. Come, let's go." With the 70 koras of gold, causing those 3 animals also to be carried along, he went to the city, and ascending to the grand floor of his magnificent palace, he caused that wealth to be stored and guarded. For the snake to live in, he caused a golden tube to be made. For the rat, a crystal cave, and for the parrot, a golden cage. For the snake and the snake to eat, he caused every day sweet parched grain to be given in a vessel of gold purified with fire. For the rat, grains of perfumed rice. He gave alms and performed the other's work of merit. Thus, those 4 persons, one and all, dwelled together in unity and concord all their days, and when the days were to come to an end, passed away according to the deeds. And so this is the end of the story. But as a conclusion, the Buddha, the present Buddha at the time of the story, said the teacher to the monks, "Monks, not only in his present state of existence has Devadatta gone about for the purpose of killing me. In a previous state of existence also he went about for the purpose of killing me in the same old way." Having related this parable, he joined the connection and identified the personages in the birth story as followed. At that time, King Wicked was Devadatta, the snake was Sariputta, the rat was Moggallana, and the parrot was Ananda. But he had gained a kingdom and became a king of righteousness but he that gained a kingdom and became a king of righteousness was I myself. So I hope you enjoyed this Buddha's parable, the grateful animals and the ungrateful man. And my perception of this, what I feel about this story is that the Buddha was highly praising gratitude and the values of integrity and honesty and sincerity. Just like the animals genuinely showed their appreciation for the future Buddha saving their lives, they offered him everything that they had. But the prince, on the other hand, was faking his sincerity. And in fact, when the Buddha came to ask for, just came to his presence. He ordered them to he ordered the future Buddha at the time to be killed. And so this is, like, I guess, a reminder for all of us to be genuine, to be a man of integrity, a man of character, a man of genuineness and sincerity, and to conduct ourselves in the best way that we can in every area of our life. I hope you've enjoyed this story, the grateful animal with the ungrateful man. And if you do, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you again in the next episode of Be Kind, Be Happy Story Time. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.